Hi, I'm Katie, and this is episode 109 of Ornamentations. I'm back, and I have an absolute mega episode for you today. The last time I saw you, I really wasn't sure how much I was going to be able to do during this period. I kind of thought I was just going to show you my tree, and then leave. But I'm absolutely thrilled to report that the answer to how much was I able to do is so much. Today is going to be an absolute holiday spectacular. I think quite a long episode too, so get comfortable because I have so many wonderful additions to my tree to share. I have some gifts, I have some haul, and then we are going to finish with a tour of my tree. This is my pride and joy. Putting it up is one of the happiest, most fabulous days of my year, and I'm excited to share it with you all because I say this every year, but oh, it gets better every year. So I'll look at that as well as all the wonderful things I have been making for it. And just before we get started, just quick life update. Surgery went really well. Thank you all for your very kind wishes for the surgery and recovery, and the surgery went great and I am doing great. The sling is off. There's no like huge bulk around my neck, which is awesome. I already feel better than I did before surgery, so really everything has been great. Recovery is going to take quite a long time. At the moment, I still don't have use of my dominant arm. My left arm is strictly decorative, trying to do things like apply all my makeup with my offhand. Yeah, that's interesting. If my makeup looks weird in coming weeks, yeah, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I'm having issues with that. But I am stitching uninterrupted and I feel really good. Everything is going great. My surgeon is just a wizard and I feel very lucky to have him. So everything's really good in my world. My biggest problem is that, you know, with no use of my dominant arm, I can't really do my own holiday baking. But honestly, if that's your biggest problem in life, you don't have problems. So A++, everything's great. With that, let's get to stitching because I am so thrilled to tell you that there has been lots and lots of stitching. So we're going to start with the Notforgotten Farm Littles, starting with Christmas. And the last time I saw you, I think I had started. No, I hadn't started. Okay, so I started this right before surgery and it was a whip when I went under the knife and it's finished. He's so cute. Do you not die? So I've done two versions of each of the littles. This is Chris Mouse one, and please forgive me if I have trouble showing things. I'm not going to be showing nice palettes of my threads. Being down one arm means that I'm going to be a little limited in a lot of ways, but doing my best here. So Chris Mouse one, I am going to post all the conversions for everything as normal, as well as the details on the beaded edging. So here I did the peppermint crystal beaded edging that I showed you in my tutorial, which I'll link in the description, but I inverted it. I used light Siam olive beads and then just small round beads in between, small crystal round beads in between them. And that is so bold and fabulous. Don't you love it? So he's in a really bright, rich Christmas red Gobelins 779. And this is on 37 count wild honey. So that's version 1, but color tweaks, different versions of things, that always really interests me. And this guy is so cute. How could you stop at 1? I couldn't stop at 1. So I made a second version, and this is on Filbert, and this has the inverted peppermint crystal edging. So if you just reverse the colors, that's what you get, although this uses a slightly darker red crystal, and you can see how much difference the linen makes, although just to the overall tone of the piece. Although the threads on this are different as well. I used a slightly darker red. This is Gobelins 945, and I forgot some of his little extra details. You know, I was post-operative. Sleeping in a sling is really, really difficult, so I'm a little sleep deprived at the moment. Have not caught up on sleep since that old thing. So he's missing a few details, but he's still really cute. So if you remember the discussion we had last time, which you probably don't, I hardly do, I wanted to use my darker red 2646 Gobelins for this. But what really happened is Filbert has some gray in it. Obviously the mouse has gray, and then when you use that darker red, it all just turned kind of blah, very gray. It had no highlights in it, too much equal value. It had no pop at all. So it needed a slightly brighter red, and I think this is great. The 945 is perfect for this linen. So those are the two versions next to each other. I do love how much that bright, happy, light Siam dominant edging just pops that out. It makes it look alive. So pick your versions. This is Christmas 1. This is Christmas 2. Both are going to have the conversions listed in the description. Although I have to say, so these were both, well, this one was finished and then 2 is entirely stitched with just one hand. After surgery, the hoop and pataki stand arrangement I was talking about last time ended up working really well. I was able to start stitching just about a week after surgery, which was awesome. But oh man, does being down your dominant arm really give you an appreciation of how you normally stitch and use your hands without really thinking about them? I can't use scissors in my right hand at all. I'm left-handed, in case you're new. And I thought finishing would be okay too, because I normally stitch right-handed even though I am left-handed. I use my left hand normally to hold my fabric. I like to stitch in hand. I use my right hand to stitch. I was like, oh, finishing will be a breeze. I stitch with my right hand. Yeah, well, it turns out I don't actually think about how I use my hands, because when it came time to do the finishing on this, and yeah, I did my finishing mostly one-handed. I was allowed to just kind of use my left hand resting in my lap to pinch and hold it so I had a stable surface to work with. But yeah, right-handed. Anyways, I was saying, so when I got time to do the finishing, thought it would be okay, and then I suddenly realized, why is this so awkward? I can't manipulate my needle. Like, none of this makes sense. I'm working in the wrong direction. Yeah, I do my finishing left-handed. I never actively processed that until I tried to do it right-handed, and it was suddenly so much more difficult. But you know what? I don't let little things like a sling keep me down when it comes to Christmas stitching, which I'm very serious about. So like, there were some very MacGyvered arrangements for trying to do the finishing, but I persevered because, oh man, do I love getting to add ornaments to my tree when it's up. So I'm gonna pause this and hang Christmas 1 back up, because he's supposed to go right there and I want you to see the full effect. So hold please. Okay, and then we have my next 2 versions of the next new Notforgotten Farms littles, and that's Cheerful Giver. So the last time I saw you, I had done all the stitching on the first version, but I hadn't embellished and FFO'd it yet. I've now done that. And I also was telling you I had an idea about the beard, which, oh, it worked. It's fun. I'm not sure it's really going to, well, I know it's not really going to replace fuzzy stuff going forward, but it's a little something different if you're bored of fuzzy stuff, but you like fun textured beards. So this is Cheerful Giver number 1. This has a slightly richer green, a richer, darker red than the one in the model photo, which, ooh, one-handed. This is a little interesting. So that's, okay, there we go. That's as good as this is going to get. Sorry, guys. Information about threads in the description. And stitched on legacy linen, 38 count Cloister Cream, and I don't know how well you can see that because it's tone on tone. It's gonna disappear a little bit, but Santa has a crystal beard. How fun is that? So I just took crystals and seed beads of different sizes, mixed them up, stitched them on to give him a lot of sparkle, a little texture, and he just kind of glitters on the tree, really fun. When I initially finished this, I left the edging plain, and then I put my tree up, I hung him on, I was like, oh, he's cute. But you know, all of my ornaments are so covered in crystals and sequins and sparkle that he really looked quite plain. So I had to add a briolette edging at the edge. So that's a 4mm briolette color crystal shimmer, and then it's got just a gold lined vein at the top for a little extra pop. I love that. So that is Cheerful Giver #1. And then for my second version, I used a green that was a little less saturated, a little grayer, a little more like the model, and then a brighter red. The red here is 779 from the first version of my Christmas. And then I also used a slightly darker linen, which is Wayfarer's Cloak, and I added a peppermint crystal hanger, which I think really looks great with this guy. He is so fun. So I'm gonna try and one-handed floss tubing is so interesting. Trying to show the two together is not working that well, but so you can see, or I hope you can see, how it shifts with just some very little changes in linen, the darker green versus the less saturated green, using the brighter red versus the darker red. Brighter red really pops on this guy. And then I absolutely love, coordinates so well. The crystals are light Siam, and then I've used crystal olive beads between them for the hanger. So all details on beads used, etc. Threads. This is version 2 with the peppermint crystal hanger. This is version 1 to know which, if you liked one of them, which one you're looking for in the description. So, oh, aren't they so cute? And I gave him a crystal beard too, since I thought that was successful. Does not show well on camera. It's just a little fun bit of texture and sparkle when you're looking at this in real life on the tree. So he was a lot of fun. These are very small and very easy. As you can see, I was just kind of whipping through things despite being one-handed. So that was awesome. And I just, I love the Notforgotten Farm littles. I was really excited to put them on the tree. We're not done. I've got a pile of new ornaments to show you because I've had nothing to do but sit around on the couch and stitch. And then my next one was the new Brenda Gervais pattern Sweater Weather, which I loved. I did make a few changes to this while I've got this up here to show you. I thought the sweater was a little busy, so I made it just a plain sweater. I left the white detailing in at the top, and then I changed up the colors just a little. I also stitched this on Legacy Linen 37 Count Wild Honey, which is kind of a pinky peach with a little bit of gray in it, because I think that makes reds show so well. And then this one has this absolutely fabulous sparkly, okay, see, I can't use my other hand to obscure things for the camera. Okay, hopefully that's gonna work. So it's sparkly, it's the perfect ornament hanger, and this is something new. We're going to talk about this in a haul. It showed up and I could not wait to break open the box and add this. It was the perfect accent to this particular stitch. So again, here I've got my super bright fun Christmas red 779 for the sweater. I gave him 2mm jet crystal beads for the eyes, 2mm crystal moonlight beads to accent the snowflakes, and then 2mm Siam beads to fill in the berries. Is he so cute or what? So I simplified him just a touch. My version's just a little different, but very similar. And I love the combination of the pink and red. It is just great on the tree. He looks so cute. And then I just backed him with a plain red silk for a little love, 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 love. Oh, and so this conversion, I think it's all or mostly Gobelins, but there is a Paris in here. I used satin stitch for the nose to try and make it a little more smooth and even, and Paris is better than the higher twist Gobelins for that. So that's this lovely nose, which is Paris 615. So that's why there's a different thread listed in the description for this guy. Sorry, I almost forgot to tell you that. And that's going to be true of the next ornament I'm going to show you as well. So after I finished Sweater Weather, I was kind of on a Brenda Gervais kick, and I went to another one of her new patterns, which is Snowman in the Forest. And the one that really called to me out of these three was this. It's so funny. I was really drawn to this set of patterns because there was the perfect set of Gobelins for this. I can't read these. 132 and 133. They're these beautiful, vibrant colors. And can you see on this one how the thread's not even? Yeah, this is why you don't store your spools in open conditions, aka sunlight, because that was on my desk for not that long, and yet the top layer of thread faded. 6 months maybe. I had left it out because I thought that's so pretty, I have to do something with it, and then oh yeah, there was some thread fading there. So anyways, two fabulous, fabulous, fabulous blues, if these call to you, and I thought they would be just perfect for this. And then I didn't end up using them, or rather I did. But when I put the star in, I worked bottom up, so that was the last thing to go in. Hopefully I will remember to insert some process photos here. It just looked a little unbalanced to me. It looked like it wasn't relating to the rest of the piece. The blues were just kind of floating at the top because he picked slightly more toned down greens with less blue in them. And I was like, oh no, and I had to take them out. So this is stitched on Fox and Rabbit 40 count Ocean Air. You've heard about my love for this before. No, oh, okay. We'll see that on the tree tour. Oh, there, it fell off. Okay, so this is, I think, Merry Old Soul, which is stitched on 40 count Ocean Air. And I just love what it does for Christmas colors. A little hard to find at the moment. I don't think they're dyeing it regularly, but I had some in stash, so I used it. And so here again, I've got the Snowman head. I've used the Paris 615 for his nose. And then I used Bijoux white gold glint. It's discontinued. You'd have to sub an Accentuate and Surfine combination for it instead. And that just felt like more of a whole piece and a complete thought to me. So that's what I did instead, which just felt like kind of a pity because I picked the thing because of the blues and then I didn't use the blues. How perverse am I? That struck me as singularly perverse, but I do love how this turned out. And again, all details on the threads and fabric used will be listed in the description. And then I have just really, really super tiny 2mm white sequins in place of single stitches for the little, I guess, snowflakes. And then, oh, sorry about the focus, and then they're just anchored with a single size 15 white seed bead. So this one is quite delicate. It's a little restrained compared to some of my other ones, but it's just perfect. I love what the blue background adds to it. It is, oh, it's so fabulous. I love it. So that is Snowman in the Forest, one of three. My mom likes this one, so perhaps she'll stitch it and make good use of the blue Gobelins since I totally failed at my intended task. But I love the finished ornaments, so it's all good. And I mean, see, the thing is, when you get to like just cross-stitch ornaments, they're quite small. So I'm not done. I have more to show you. The next thing I stitched was the Prairie Schooler 2012 Santa. So cute. So this is on Legacy Linen 38 count wafers cloak. It's not gonna focus. Okay. Nope. No, it's still looking for my face. There we go. Okay, success at last. I can't stop it. Oh, I can't stop it moving. That's just, okay, there we go. Sorry about this, guys. This Flosstube might be a little all over the place, but I used that really, really bright, fabulous pinky red Gobelins. That's 235T. And then I did make some changes. So I left out the list that says doll drum to the side of the Dear Santa, I was good. I don't mind negative space in my ornaments, so that was fine. And then I used lots of Bijoux for the lettering and to highlight it. So this pattern actually only calls for one green. I have three. I have the Bijoux that's used for the lettering and the framing on the letter. I have a slightly darker Gobelins that I used for the tree just to kind of give the background some depth. And then I used 152, which is just a beautiful, perfect yellow green for the actual Santa himself. And then I took out some of the details on the male, and then I used white core Bijoux, white gold glint to accent it. Or, yeah, I don't know. I used white core Bijoux. I've got a list somewhere. It'll be in the description. And then I did another trick I like a lot, which is I used a size 15 cut bead, and which one that is will be in the description in place of the running stitch at the edge. So you still get that nice framing detail, but you get a little sparkle too. And then he's got the full-on fluffy, fun, fuzzy beard stitched with fuzzy stuff. I've got a tutorial on that. That'll be linked in the description. And then I have 2mm jet crystals for his eyes to really pop them out. He is so fun. And then I did a slight variation on the peppermint crystal hanging. So this is a green and white peppermint, or green and crystal peppermint. So details on that in the description. But that was perfect for this guy, I thought, since this one had such strong green accents. And that's perfect. Although I'm going to have to get some new tricks on my Prairie Schooler Santa. One of the things I love about stitching in the season when my tree is up is I can see how all of my ornaments work together. It gives me ideas. And I was hanging up on my Prairie Schooler Santas and thinking, they're all on gray linens. I kind of need to get some new tricks. So I'm thinking my next Prairie Schooler Santa might be done on wild honey, just for a change and something new. Because as much as I love this, I think I've overdone the bit a little bit. But he looks fabulous on the tree, and I love the extra little bit of sparkle that the crystal hanger adds to him. So that is the Prairie Schooler 2012 Santa. And full details will be in the description. So those are my cross stitch finishes. I do have several felt wool sparkly felt wool applique finishes, as well as the current whip that I'm working on. So we're not through with my finishes, just cross stitch finishes. But before we get to the fun sparkly felt ornament finishes, I'm going to show you my current cross stitch whip. Okay, so the chart is something I just purchased. This technically belongs in haul, but I've started it, so it is haul and whip. And this is Lucy Bean Love and Stitches winter stocking, which is just so cute. Although this is a classic example of why you should read the back, because I mean, no fault to the designer here. This is just my own particular brand of stupid. I looked at that, I imagined I knew what size it was. I ignored how detailed that stocking was, which should have given me a clue. And I was like, oh, that's ornament size. It'll be just like Cinder Claws from Notforgotten Farm. They'll be a natural pair and it'll be great. Yeah, it's a little bigger than I thought. I'm probably still gonna hang it on my tree, but The day before I started this, I cut a piece of linen that was just standard ornament size, and then I was about to put it in the hoop and give it a go. And I was like, you know what, Katie, you should maybe actually check the size. Checked the size and went, ooh, gonna need a bigger piece of linen. But that's fine. My previous piece of linen would be perfect for a prairie school or Santa. I just said I'd like to do some on wild honey, but I'm just gonna blame being post-operative and sleep deprived for that particular brain fart. But this is where I am on this. This is on Legacy Linen 37 count wild honey, and you can see how interesting my linen cutting is when I'm trying to use scissors with my right hand. I'm terrible at it. Oh my, there's no saving me. But oh, isn't that beautiful? I think this is going to be just fabulous, if a little larger than I envisioned. I want to do a full red crystal spiral rope trim edging on this to really make it pop. So I've used Bijoux for the detailing inside the stocking. You can't see this on camera, but it's got this delicate little sparkle. And then Gobelins 945, one of my favorite classic reds, a little darker and bluer than 779. For the stocking itself. I'm almost done with the stocking. I've just got to do the detailing at the top, and then I'll be on to the Snowman. So I'm hoping to have a complete FFO for you next time, and we'll see whether or not I decided to hang it on the tree. Spoiler alert, I think I probably decided to hang it on the tree because, oh, it's so cute. I love it. So this is fabulous, and I can't see a thing like that. And I'm just loving it. I think he's going to look great. I have a few ideas for just a couple little color tweaks to make to this, and I like it on a warmer linen. I think the Snowman is going to pop a little more. He's so cute. And then I'm going to tweak his arms a little bit as well. But that is Lucy Beam Love and Stitches Winter Stocking, which is my current whip, and I'm hoping to have a finish for you next time, as I said. Oh, also, this would look great on a blue linen, don't you think? Ocean Air or something else. That's the blue linen that I have, but I'm sure there are other ones out there. So I do like it on the pink, but if we were going to stitch it again, I might put it on a blue linen. I think that would look really fabulous. So those are my cross stitch finishes and whips, or my cross stitch finishes and whips. I do have a couple other cross stitch finishes in gifts. But before we get to that, I want to show you my wool felt applique ornaments, because it's not really the holidays in my world until I get out the felt and the sequins and I start going absolutely ham, which I have been doing, and I'm going to share it with you. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you is a gift. I don't usually show all the weird things that I make for my brother, but this one I was really proud of, partly because I did it one-handed, and I thought it might be fun to see how I translate an inspiration into a finished embellished wool felt applique. Also, I totally loved the sparkly fabulous bijou I used for this. This is called Sapphire. I try to keep the sparkly glittery embellishments to a minimum on his ornaments in deference to his masculine sensibilities, but I mean, come on, how could I not when I had a chance to use this? So this one is gonna have a little bit of a story with it. Sorry about that. You can fast forward if you don't want to listen to me talk. But my brother, and honestly this is the worst thing I know about his character, likes two hockey teams. I'm a very firm believer in the one team rule. You don't get multiple teams. There is just one team, and that team is the San Jose Sharks. But he's my brother and I love him, so we forgive his little weakness for the Washington Capitals. He loves Ovechkin. He's always been a sucker for a true power forward, and man, nobody's more power forward in the league in recent decades than Ovi. But loves the Caps. We have to hear about it all the time, and he is also a hockey jersey connoisseur. Yes, that's a whole thing. And the Capitals every year do a special edition cherry blossom jersey because they're based in Washington, D.C. And those jerseys are not available. They are worn once a year in warm-ups. You have to be in the arena on that night and bid in the arena inside of an auction to get the jerseys, and they go for psycho sums of money. Truly crazy. But there are photos online. He loves the cherry blossom jerseys. There's no universe in which he's ever going to have a Caps cherry blossom jersey. But this is my favorite of the recent ones. They're different every year. And I think this is really great design because their colors are white, red, and blue. Fittingly for a team based in our nation's capital. And how to incorporate pink in that is just handled so well. These are designed by a local artist who is just clearly a great graphic designer. So the little touches of red and blue in the pink and then the white outlined detailing in the buds. It's such good design. And this is my jersey, which it's it's skewed and wonky because trying to do this one-handed was really so sketch, but I wanted to do this for my brother for Christmas. I know he's going to love it, and he's very, very forgiving because he doesn't make things himself, so he's very impressed by people who do make things. So yeah, Capitals is like wonky and not on a straight line, but I used pink felt and then I added just some detailing. One of the problems with like trying to translate something into felt is that not all detail is going to translate well. So that really beautiful, subtle touch of red shading, for example, not really gonna work in this medium. So I chose to just stick to blue. I was using that beautiful sparkly blue Bijoux. Tiny blue crystal pearl in the center of each to give it a little depth, and then I used Swab 103 for the white outlined details, and then it's quite layered because you've got the base layer, slightly darker blue, you've got the white backing, and then you have the rich royal blue for Capitals logo. So that is the closest he's ever going to get to a cherry blossom jersey, but I think he's going to love it, even if it's literally not on the level. But I did want to show you the journey between inspiration and actual piece. So my ornaments for my brother, which is the set I don't usually show on here, are all things along that line. There are hockey logos, there are inside jokes, South Park characters, every kind of weird and silly thing, but I really enjoy making them. They always present quite a challenge. I mean, how do you turn a special edition jersey into a Christmas ornament is something to sink your teeth into. But for something that I think we will all enjoy a little more, I want to show you my new development project. So the crystal doves are completely sold out. Thank you so much for the overwhelming response to those. I've seen some finishes already. I hope you're enjoying them all, and they're adding some sparkly fabulousness to your holiday. But they really got me thinking about sparkly birds and how much fun they are. So I am engaged on a development project for what will be a future ornament release. I hope holiday 2026 is where we're going here, but since I haven't actually managed to produce a model yet, we'll see. And my idea for a new ornament is a red sparkly ornament bird for your tree, and that is the crystal cardinal. This is not the crystal cardinal. This is a early crystal cardinal, which it's not right yet. Development is like developing a recipe. You have to just tweak, make different versions, and keep on tweaking until you get it right. So this is going to be a journey with a lot of stages. And this is version 1. So I was trying out a lot of different ideas here. There are 2 red felts I can get that are very, very close in color, and I was thinking using them both might be interesting to make the beaded details really pop. It turns out I like just using the lighter, brighter red, but this was version 1, and so this was something I tried just with everything that I had on hand that I had collected, and mostly what it taught me was that all the materials I thought I was going to use were completely wrong. So for one thing, this is a little too small. It doesn't give you enough scope for detail. It's also too uniformly flat in texture. I think my embellished wool applique works a little better when you have texture differentials, and this is just, I mean, it's sparkles like mad. I'm going to give this a gift. I think it will be well received. None of the Cardinals I've done so far are bad. They're just not there yet as an idea. So as I said, it was mostly just testing the materials I had set aside to use for this, and then went out and got different materials. And then I also got the balance point wrong on this. One of the things about a irregular shape that has a fair amount of weight to it, like from beading, is that you have to figure out where to attach the ornament hanger so that it will hang correctly. I was a little off here, and then I ended up adding the holly branch with berries to it to try and slant this guy forward a little bit, because originally he was just like this when I tried to hang him on the tree, poor guy. But this is Crystal Cardinal version number 1. Super sparkly. The light's helping me out today in that sense. And then this was Crystal Cardinal number 2. So here I'm using the all bright red, which I really like. I added some silver lined bugles instead of the just flat wrap ones I was using. And yeah, we're getting there. This is closer, but the shape's still not quite right. He's a little bigger, but I don't like how harsh the black is. I never use black thread in my stitching because I think it's really harsh. I didn't know why I thought it would be a good idea in felt. So for the next version, I am going to change to like a dark charcoal, and I have some tweaking to do with the face. Again, shape's not quite right, but I did like some of the details here. I think the wing cap is fun. So that's version number 2. Better. Not there yet. Version number 3 is a work in progress, and again, this is still, we're not close to the Crystal Cardinal. I'm just going through all of the variables and crossing off things that don't work from the list. So for this one, I've changed the shape. He's looking backwards over his shoulder. It's like that. They're frequently drawn that way in art because look at that. It gives much better lines. I think it's also going to make weighting and hanging it much easier. So I think that's a huge improvement right there, although I'm still not sure I've got the shape of the head right. So I've extended the wing cap a little. You can see I'm just trying different things out in terms of how I lay this out. And on this one, I cut the tail a little shorter because I'm gonna add an extension. Hold, please. Oh, check that out. I think that's a total of, that was like 10 crystal pendants. Fabulous, fabulous. I am kind of envisioning a dripping in it bird. Oh, and one of the other variables I was playing with is this one was flat with an internal structure like we used on the crystal doves. But I was looking at it, I was thinking, you know what, this guy kind of might benefit from being stuffed. So this one is actually stuffed just very lightly to give a little bit of rounding to it. I think this is going to be a stuffed ornament. Not usually what I do with my applique, but I think this is the right one. So version number 3 is in progress. Love the pendants. I'm trying to think if there's a way to incorporate them into the wings. I'm still playing with a lot of different ideas. I have some different materials on the way, and then I've got to figure out the face. But this is my development project of the moment. I am still going on this, so I hope you'll be following along with me. as I adventure on the crystal Cardinal with however many different permutations I come up with. I think a lot, because I have a lot of different ideas that I want to try out. And the thing is, one, it's fun, and two, there's no downside, because this might not be the right kit version, but it's still a really fun, sparkly ornament that will make a great gift. I mean, would you be very sad and feel wronged if that was something you opened? I hope not. I hope not. So I'm enjoying myself hugely. I just dump a bunch of sparkly things out on my desk and play with different ways to put them together, which, oh, that's fun for me. That is the spirit of Christmas. No, the spirit of Christmas is giving, but the secondary spirit, like spirit of Christmas 2A, is playing with fun felt and sparkly things. And now we have my next finishes, which are a set of 2. These aren't ornaments, although my mother noted that they could be ornaments. Not really most effective as ornaments, but I think this is the best thing I've made in quite a while. I'm in love with it. I'm just, oh, fingers crossed that this shows well on camera, because I'm just in love, and I wish you could all just, oh, I could reach through the camera, put this in your living room and show you, because it's awesome. Oh, sometimes you make things and it's just like, knocked that one out of the park. That's how I feel. So this was my inspiration piece, which was a ginormous rifle paper company card. I love super decorated Christmas tree decorations, because you have the tree and then you have all the things that represent the tree, and rifle is great with that. So my original idea is basically just to do this in felt, gigantic tree, well, not gigantic, I mean just larger than normal greeting card size, and then with all of the details on here, the presents, the stockings, the bells, the candy canes, all the fun stuff. And then I cut out my felt tree. I thought, you know what, wouldn't it be fun if I added beagles? And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun if I added Accentuate? And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun if I added rhinestones? And I just ended up in a completely different place, which I like so much more. Oh my goodness. Oh, I just cheated and used my other hand. I got a lecture from that. Got a lecture about that yesterday from my physical therapist, who was just like, no left hand use. So this is on this really, really fun green felt, and ooh, the silver is, okay, that's a little better. The silver is still lighting up a little bit too much. In life, the colors are a little bit closer. This is a silver lined bugle, and this is a lighter, very lime green shade. Actually, hold on, I forgot to grab these. I want to show them to you. Okay, these are so fun. So these are really beautiful silver lined green. This is the color that I used on my first version of the Stacy Nash gingerbread house, and I thought this one was exactly right for this colorway. But I also had a slightly lighter, a little more lime green shade, also silver lined, which I love because they reflect so much light. They're just so beautiful. And I did not, I'm sorry about the focus issues, can't hold anything up in front of my face to obscure it. Anyways, I thought these were beautiful. They just weren't right for the Stacy Nash house. I kind of groaned about not having anything to use them on. They're so pretty. And then when I was hanging out with this felt, I was like, oh, that's what I use them with. So pretty. It's just so fabulous. It kicks off so much light. And then I did the swags in an Overa Soie metallic braid. And then there's also other detailing underneath. So it's just stem stitch and lazy daisy stitch. And this is in a fabulous, fabulous accentuate that I haven't used enough, and I'm gonna remedy that oversight. It's somewhere here, okay. This is Accentuate 257 and it is green and gold combined. Fabulous! It is so fabulous. It shows up quite gold on the tree because the background is green, obviously, but it looks amazing. And then I just accented it with rhinestones and sequins and these fabulous crystals. Naturally, they're discontinued. I had them in stash. I went to buy more and oh, you can't find them anywhere. They're a light bright red, but they're lined with hot pink. So they're red, they're pink, they're absolutely everything. I just adore them. They look amazing on sparkly green. And then it's got a red tree skirt. That detail is one hand, man, from the card. But yeah, as much as I love this card, so much better, or at least I enjoy this hugely. This just ticks all of my boxes. So this actually could be a large ornament, but the thing about green, something that's green dominant on a Christmas tree, is that it just kind of tends to disappear. You don't really, it doesn't pop as much as it does on a, sorry, that was my outline, which just crashed to the floor. It doesn't pop as much as it does on standalone decoration. So I did an internal structure for this, so this can actually stand up, and it's set on the console in my living room. Now, I loved using these fabulous light limey green. That's what the color looks like more accurately in person. The silver is showing up when I show you the finished piece, but you actually see more green than silver when you're looking at it in light. This camera's struggling with this a little, as it often does with my super sparkly creations. So I was so excited to get to use these, and I thought they were beautiful. But I was thinking about these too, and how much fun those would be. So I did the only rational thing that you could do when you are confronted with, well, which fabulous and sparkly green do I use? You don't stop at one, you make both. So I took a shade of felt that was green felt that was just a touch darker, and I made a second, even bigger one, because more room for fun with bugles, and also the remaining discontinued rhinestones that I had were larger ones, so I needed a bigger canvas to use them on, because man, I did not want to use another rhinestone color. That would be the logical thing to do, but now I made a bigger tree. Let's see if I can hold these both up at once. Isn't that amazing? I love it. I love it. I love it so much. So this is my big bodacious one. Please focus, camera. No. Well, at least you're getting this part. Okay, okay, there we go. There. So I did lots of understitching with the Accentuate and the metallic braid, and then I just went crazy with bugles, and then I threw on rhinestones and sequins. And there I think you can really get a sense of that. It's red, it's pink, it's hot pink, it's fabulousness of those rhinestones. Why did they discontinue them? That's just a tragedy. And so that is my super fun, and that also has a tree skirt. I've managed to do a more rigid internal structure for this one. So this one is really quite sturdy, and I've got it sitting propped up against a KGIT with some of my, right there. Yes, I have multiple sparkly trees in my living room, including my past Nutcracker one. What did that before? So they're just everywhere. It's like Katie's sparkly Christmas tree lot in here, and you know what? I love everything about that. So oh, man. One thing about these, because I think some of you are going to be like, that's a kit, right? No, it's not a kit. Aside from the part where some of these materials are discontinued and I really can't get any more of them, I have looked everywhere. Trust me, I even looked at wholesale where you'd be buying 700 rhinestones just to get a couple to use on a tree. Not possible. not possible because they're not being sold. I might be crazy enough to buy 700 rhinestones, get a few more to use on a tree. But everything on this is legitimately actually freehand. Trying to get a transfer onto a dark felt is just madness. You have to work around it. So mostly in embroidery, you are working from some kind of design that you've got on the ground, whether it's been pre-printed or whether you traced it there or whatever. You're almost never working truly freehand. Not the case here. So basically, I started with this and with no marks or guidelines at all. I had to stitch in all of that. And the results are superb, but it is actually entirely freehand. Not to mention how unbelievably irritating it is to hand stitch around all of these points of the tree, because I don't rely on glue when it comes to my felt. So this is entirely hand stitched, and all the edges are slip stitched together with Surfine. Oh, with results, so worth it. So worth it. I think this might be my favorite decoration I've come up with since the Nutcracker tree. Can't get enough of these two fabulous, 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 fabulous trees. So I love having them in my living room. Quite frankly, if there were more rhinestones available, I might just make more and more and more and have them all over my house. Perhaps for the best that I've been limited by unavailability of materials, truly. But, you know, this is how I amuse myself at Christmas. I hope you enjoyed seeing them. I had the time of my life making them, I can tell you. So those are my own finishes, and I am by no means done with sparkling wool felt applique. I have some really great ideas that I'm hoping to get to in the next couple of weeks, but I do have a couple more ornaments to show you. These were gifts, and the first one is from my mom. This is Notforgotten Farm's snow pants. I actually bought the pattern myself. I think I am still going to stitch it, but as a gift. Karen of Fox and Rabbit and I are doing the Christmas ornament 12 by 12 again next year, and I think I will be stitching snow pants as a gift because it was so fabulous to receive one myself. So my mom stitched it on a very light green linen. I'm afraid I don't know what the linen is, with a Soie Gobelins conversion that she did herself, and then she did 2mm crystal pearls color rouge in a place of stitching the berries on snow pants, and then she just backed it with a green linen. We have a beautiful silk ribbon for the hanger, and then she gave this to me right before I put my tree up so that I would have something extra and fun to fill it out. It's in my snowman section that we'll see when we do the tree tour. Yes, I have an entire section dedicated to coordinating snowmen. And then my friend Laura, also when I was recovering from, I mean, I'm still recovering, but when I was in the immediate post-op misery, sent me a fabulous ornament that she stitched and had finished. Santa loves good boys and girls. How insanely cute is this? This is fabulously Christmassy packing fabric. This kind of made me rethink my dedication to silk satin, because, oh, so fabulous. I just love this. This was actually what inspired me to get out the stand and see if I could start stitching again post-op. It was just, this arrived and I was like, oh, I have to do my ornament stitching one hand or not. We're just going ahead. So this has a place of honor on the tree. And then she also sent me the cutest little Santa pin from Mini Big Beans, and I don't usually use counting pins in my finishing because I like very hard, not fluffy finishes. But I have to have something, like this just needs to be on my tree. So I'm going to make a piece to use it, and that's going to be the Noel Tuffet by Shakespeare's Peddler. I want to use Wild Honey, which is that pinky legacy linen I was showing you earlier. I've got one hand, got issues here. And then I'm going to use a bright red thread, I think Gobelins 779 in place of white. Add this to the finish, and then use the new fabulous braid that we're going to talk about very, very soon for that as well. I think these three things together are going to be perfect. So after I finish my current whip, this is next up because I really need to have this on my tree. So hopefully I will be showing that to you next time. So those are the fabulous gifts that I received to add to my tree. But I have even more handmade ornaments which are in a haul. Okay, so these I ordered in like October from the Cheswick Company. The Cheswick Company is something that you have heard about a lot here on this channel, and you're going to see a lot of Cheswick ornaments when we do the tree tour. They are mostly kits, but Kathy does occasionally put finished pieces up for sale on our Etsy website. They're usually gone in a flash. You have to be on our newsletter, and you have to just hit buy as soon as that thing crops up in your inbox to snag one of them. So I'm on the Cheswick newsletter, and usually that's because like when new kits are out, I want to see them stat. But this hit my inbox in October as I was in the middle of Sampler Symposium prep and thinking that I was very likely to need to have surgery, shoulder surgery. So instead of buying the kits, which is what I would usually do, I nabbed some of her finished pieces that were up for sale because I thought I probably wouldn't have time to make them. I was correct. And so since they were made to order, they took quite a while, and then they arrived the week before I put my tree up. They were so worth the wait. I'm dead. So the first one is one that you can definitely still get a kit for. This is new for this year, and it's just, I think, one of her best. And this is Not a Creature Was Stirring. They're mice. They're sleeping mice in a bed. Is this not the cutest thing you have ever seen in your life? I just died a million deaths when I opened the package. They're so cute. So you can get kits from these from the Cheswick Company. I'll link it in the description. And I think all the finished ones are sold out. I did buy this quite a while ago. One thing about their kits, so you do need to have a little prior experience if you're going to do the dimensional ones that require machine stitching. She has done more. So these are the Alice in Wonderland ornaments, where these are just flat. These are hand stitched. They're not turned and stuffed. They're much easier to assemble. Her instructions are a little more bare bones. They do presume some prior knowledge and experience. So if you are a beginner and looking to try Cheswick Company stuff, you're not comfortable with a lot of machine sewing, I would recommend taking a look and seeing whether it's a flat or a dimensional ornament. She does have a ton of great stocking patterns that are just flat. Cut the felt out, stitch it down by hand, that I think anyone could do. Those are great. These are a little more complicated. I absolutely love Cheswick kits, but that is feedback I have gotten from some of you in the past. I did just want to mention that because are you not dying right now at the sleeping mice in the bed? I'm dying. So that I didn't miss out on having this on my tree this year. It was just happy mail, let me tell you. And then I also I lost it at the cuteness. I got this, which is just a tiny mouse with candy cane in a mitten. He's so cute. I've mentioned this before, but my mom and I just die for festive mice and mice on ornaments. And then this is adorable. This one was not a kit, I think, that you could get. Neither was the mouse and the mittens. The only one I think that you could still get a kit for was Not a Creature was starring. This is a bunny, the bell. Well, her dress is a bell. It's spun cotton that's been painted and embellished. She's got tinsel. You know, all the details on this are so clever. This is just adorable. I love this piece. So these were all just fabulous additions to my tree. I'm so excited when I got the package. That was just a instant mood lifter. And then when I put them on the tree on tree day, it was just, oh, I'm beaming. That's legitimately how I felt. And then I also got a couple of charts. The first one, which we already saw, that was the Lucy Beam Love and Stitches. And then I also got one of the new Teresa Kogut charts. Not the stocking everybody is talking about. I didn't go to Jingle Ball, but Sweet Moon. She does do great Santas, and I love this, although I think I'm going to do some tweaks. One, this is going to be on Druid Blue. Instead of called for is, hold on just a second. Called for is Shadow by Picture This Plus. I'm thinking Druid Blue would be great. I also definitely want my Santa to be wearing red or maybe pink. Maybe pink Santa, because she did do a pink coat Santa and that was fabulous. I'm kind of thinking Santa might be wearing pink. And then I think I'm just gonna add extra stars to replace the letters there. But this is just fabulous. I think this would be an absolutely fabulous decoration to have hanging up next year. So I think this might be my Christmas Day start. I'm still very much in ornament mode, so I'm not sure how much time this will really get, but I do always like having a larger project to have with me on Christmas Day, because after we do all the present opening and we eat some food, we just sit down and hang out. There aren't really any coordinated activities, so I do usually get quite a lot of stitching done on Christmas Day. And I think this one would be a fun start. So I might have a start to show next time on this. Definitely be doing an original silk conversion, and whenever it is that I do start that, I will be sharing all the details with you. One thing about his beard, I was thinking, so it's got such great details and movements. I mean, Teresa has so much artistry in her designs. You have to love them. I don't want to obscure that with fuzzy stuff, so I was thinking I might kind of just highlight the swirls in his beard with some bugle beads. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? I think it would be really fun. So that was some haul, and then that's also me at Radar. I'm gonna put my Cheswick ornaments back on the tree because you can't really see where they're supposed to go, but like every minute they're not on the tree hurts me. So pause this, put them back on the tree, and then we're going to continue on with haul because there's more. Okay, so my last haul items are more embroidery focused rather than holiday. First is the new Thistle Threads Frostings box. And I am going to show you what's in this. So if you haven't received yours yet and you don't want the surprise spoiled, then fast forward because we're gonna show this off. So one of the great things about this box is very holiday is that there are a lot of trims that I think are great for ornaments, especially that. Doesn't that need to be on an ornament stat? And then you have some kind of more spring colors. Although pink and green, I do use those on holiday ornaments. That could be an ornament too. So these have to go out on my desk now that I've shown them to you. And then there are also a lot of new braids. I showed you one of the red braids, which was on Sweater Weather. They are amazing. I think would have so many uses in finishing. You could put them around a piece to finish off an edge. You can use them as a hanger, as I already did. You could use these on embroidery to give sparkle and texture. I mean, that's really what I'm thinking about. And they're in very Christmassy colors, because there's also fabulous green one, which I love. I've got to find an ornament to use this on. And then there are these two amazing complementary purples. They're mulberry purples with gold in them, and these make me think of the Sugar Plum Fairy. So those of you who have been watching this channel for a while know that I am obsessed with the Nutcracker Ballet, and that I have a lot of Nutcracker characters on my tree. I have multiple renditions of most of them. I have several Sugar Plum Fairies, but that's one that I don't think I've ever really nailed. And I've been meaning to have another go at the Sugar Plum Fairy to get a really good Sugar Plum Fairy on my tree. That's a major oversight. And this just prompted me that it's time. So there's a huge section of my desk, which is just me pulling out different purple and sparkly things. I've ordered a few more rhinestones and beads and some fun things. And when they all arrive, I am going to try another Sugar Plum Fairy and hopefully do justice to it this time, because I have a lot of good renditions of other characters. I have a fabulous Nutcracker, for example, but although I have Sugar Plum Fairies, I don't think they're it. They're just, there's a little something missing in them. So that's something that I've wanted to rectify for a long time, and that kind of gave me the prompt I needed, because there are some other fabulous purples in this box too. I can see why this was where my head was going. There are some beautiful purples in Soie de Paris. Purple isn't usually a color I gravitate towards, but if it's the right shade of purple, absolutely yes. And these are luscious. There are also some silk check pearls. These are the more traditional Cabinet of Curiosities purples. And then, ooh, okay, how to show this is going to be a little interesting. It might just go everywhere. So there are all of these fabulous silk threads and just amazing green and brown colors that are going to be so useful. These came and I was just like, why am I one-handed? They need to be on my casket right now. These are going to be perfect for the casket I'm working on. And then there are also some really interesting new silk wrapped pearls. These are striped in some different colors. Some gold accented silk wrapped pearls. Some more colors of silk check pearls. Some double twist gimps and beautiful olive green skin, perfect for my casket. This just has me twitching for casket stitching. And then we have some great blue threads, some satiné gimp, and then some silk checks. So lots of green, which is I adore this box. Some great holiday trims. This just, that ticks all my boxes. It might be one of my favorite frostings boxes ever. I think they're still available. I will link them in the description. Absolutely fabulous. Love it. And then the other thing I got, oh man, made it rain, although in fairness, several of these things were ordered quite a while ago and have only just come. This is one of them. This is something that I have wanted for a very long time and then finally pulled the trigger on this fall. It's going to be really interesting. Okay, so this is a custom made to order hand painted slate frame by Rachel Kinnison of Diamond K Folklore. I will put her Etsy store as a link in the description. Contact her if you would like one. So she makes slate frames to order, and they can either be plain or she will do custom painting in anything you like. She told me she once did the Corona beer commercial on a slate frame. Wild. Mine was a little more traditional. Mine was, and I requested this, I mean, they're what you want. She doesn't just paint whatever and that's what you get. I requested painting that was inspired by Flemish casket embroidery. So the sides have ornamental trees. And I got the medium slate frame, which is really quite large. I'm thinking I might need a small size eventually. And then the bars, again, big. This is a big frame. One thing about frames is that you can always lace a smaller project into a larger frame, but you cannot put a larger project into a frame that's too small for it. So we'll use longer lacing strings for this, but then this one has scrolling florals accented by gold paint. Oh, isn't that just beautiful? And then she does sign her work on the back. It's in a very, very light gold, so it's not obtrusive at all, but it is signed. It's got the year, her name, and that it was made for me. And then she does do names, initials on request, but I asked her to do my cipher. So I do have a lot of slate frames. Mine are all just plain and they work really well. Did I really need another one? No. But you spend so many hours stitching. I've wanted one of these forever, and I was like, well, why not make your tools beautiful? So this was a very special purchase. As I said, this is something that I've coveted for years. I knew I wanted a Flemish embroidery inspired one. That was always going to be it. So what to pick wasn't really a hard choice for me, but she does do fully custom work. It is on demand. So this is not a quick turnaround Amazon Prime thing. Please be patient if you'd like to order one, but her work is just exquisite, and you can have whatever your heart desires painted on your slate frame. So this is the medium. The large size is intended to hold one of the big thistle threads fancy mirror frames and is quite large, but absolutely glorious. And I just cannot, I'm trying to hold this carefully so that I don't drop anything or damage it. It has been varnished, and I'm sure but it's my beautiful new toy. I don't want to hurt it. Just beautiful. I was so excited. This came yesterday. I actually held filming so that I could show this to you, because yeah, this has been something that I've wanted for a lot of years, and I finally did. They do not have tool tapes stapled onto them. Rachel, like myself, uses four-sided lacing. Okay, and then, a couple quick updates on news items. Okay, so something else that I did while I was in the sling, I was still allowed to use my computer, and I was working on the early lessons of the Damascene Rose. I write the course when I'm stitching, but I don't do all of the formatting and the diagrams until we're closer to launch, because it's very helpful to review the initial instructions when you're at a distance from stitching it, to make sure that everything's clear and makes sense, because sometimes I a little shorthand to myself. You look at that months later and I'm like, this doesn't convey anything to anybody. So that's why I do it the way I did, and you probably don't need to know that. But I have said in the past that the Damascene Rose could be extended from the class model shown into a full panel template, and show you what that would look like, because at the time it was just my sketch. I finally took that into a full tracing template, and so this would be the full design. You'd have the center section is the rose as it exists in our class, and then it would be flanked by roses and a butterfly, much like the interior of my green casket lid. And then I also did a whole section on suggested stitches, threads, techniques, some examples of those suggestions as used in my previous work. So there aren't step-by-step instructions to, one hand again strikes, transform this into this. This is not working. But there are pretty comprehensive thread and stitch and technique suggestions. Most of the suggested techniques are building on what we learn in class, so extra knowledge is not needed. For a couple of you have an option, or I mean, obviously you could do it however you want, but where I've suggested 2 techniques, one of them is something a little more advanced that you would need extra experience for, but there's always an easier option provided. So I think anyone taking the class could transform this into a full casket panel should you so desire, or you can just stitch a glass piece. If you are interested in the Dancing Rose, that is drawing closer. Class begins on February 1st, and I've been working on the early lessons, as I said, and getting all ready to go with that. The 4th lesson of the Boredom Art Sampler was just posted and sent out to students. If you'd like to join us either with or without the class, that's still available, as well as our kits for Little Nick and Cookie Klaus. I only have Cookie Klaus because I think Little Nick is like right behind my chair. I could not find him, but linked in the description, and you can find photos on website. Yeah, okay, there we go. And then the edging shown here is a tutorial that's linked in the description. The beading kits are completely sold out, but information on what these are and where to get them is included with all kits. If you look on the written guide to your conversion in the kit, there's a link to a page on my website, and that has all the details: how many, what color, what size, and then links to where to purchase them. Seriously, these edgings are so fun. I cannot get enough of, oh, Chris Mouse is just out of frame. I cannot get enough of Chris Mouse. He is just fabulous. So sorry about that. Camera was just going everywhere. And then one other news item for those in the Bay Area or who might be in the Bay Area in the coming months. There is a new sampler exhibition now on at the De Young Museum. It's called Embroidered Histories. It features a selection of European samplers. I haven't seen it yet myself. My mom and I are going to go sometime in 2026 when I am, more functional than I am right now. Hold on one second. I was just going to look up the details. I've got it in my browser. Okay, so it's now open. It opened on November 29th, and it runs through May 24th, 2026, and that is at the De Young. I'm really excited to go see that. I think that should be fun. My mom and I are going to make a day of it. We're going to go to the city. We're going to go up to the De Young and see the exhibition, and then we are going to hit Britex, which is another reason why I need to have a working arm before all of that happens. So that just about brings me to the close of this Flosstube, although tree tour is coming, so don't turn it off if you would like to see that. For next time, more holiday stitching, because I am 100% in ornament mode and I am just getting going. I feel like I have so many ideas. I've got a big list going. It's not legible because I wrote it with my right hand, but it's up here too. And I am so excited to share what I come up with you. I am also going to be sharing what our Christmas hats were. I'm sure my brother is going to be doing that again. So the very happiest of holidays to you all, whatever you celebrate, or if you're not celebrating, just happy December. And I will see you again in right about 2 weeks. So stay tuned for the tour of the tree, and until I see you next, happy stitching. Welcome to the 2025 tour of the tree. I think this is actually my biggest tree ever and definitely my best, but they're my best every single year and I'm really excited to show it to you. A lot of these ornaments aren't new, but I do want to focus on some old favorites. So this is a Cheswick Company ornament that my mom made for me. This is Pooh Bear from the 100 Acre Woods series, and he has all his friends in this little section because we also have Eeyore, who is just adorable. And then if we move downwards, Tigger is here too, holding a snowball to make him nice and festive. And oh, he's gonna fall. These are bigger and heavier, so as the tree gets a little older and dried out, that does kind of tend to happen. And then hiding here at the very bottom is Piglet. I originally had him on the other side and then realized that he was away from all his friends and that was just weird. So he kind of just got cheated in at the end. This is one I feel sure I've shown before, but I love it. This is based off a Rifle Paper Company card. It's a snowman in a snow globe, and it's just a festival of little tiny sequins. These are all needlepoint sequins that you can get from Be Decked and Bedazzled online if you would like to get inspired. They're called the collection sequins. And what's great about needlepoint sequins is they come really small, so they're scaled to an ornament. Most sequins are made for garment sizes to go on the human body, and they're really too big for this kind of purpose, which is why if you're looking for sequins, go for stitching specific sources like needlepoint. And then we did see this in the Flosstube proper, but I did want to highlight it just because he's a favorite. This is Merry Old Soul by Brenda Gervais on Fox and Rabbit 40 count Ocean Air. I did that to match Peppermint Pals. And another reason I wanted to highlight this is my crystal spiral rope trim edging. I have a tutorial on this, and this is what I'm thinking of doing for my winter stocking whip that I showed you in this episode. Oh, this one is another favorite. This is Gingerbread House, which again is, you'll hear this a lot, after a Rifle Paper Company card, and like the previous one we just saw, this is just a festival of sequins, metallic thread, every kind of sparkly thing. I don't go in for restraint when it comes to my Christmas ornaments. Everything here is just covered in sparkle. And this is another favorite. This is another Cheswick. My mom made this for me. She made most of the Cheswicks that are on my tree, and I made most of the Cheswick Company ornaments on her tree. We just give them to each other back and forth. He's an owl and he's so cute. He gets a prime spot every year, and it's one of the things I love about a natural tree is that there are always kind of gaps, and there are great places to put big ornaments. This guy is pretty large, but he's so cute. And this was new last year. It was in last year's holiday episodes, if you're curious about it. This is a partridge on a pear branch thingy, and he's really sparkly and fun. I had a great time making these. I had ordered something a lot like this from Fortnum & Mason, and they just canceled my order without warning. So I made my own version, and in the end, I think they did me a favor because I actually like that better. And then if we move around the tree just a little bit, this is Santa and his sleigh right beneath the reindeer mouse from Just Nan. I know my mom made that one. I've kind of lost track of who made which Just Nan Christmas mice on our trees, but that was definitely her. This right here is the Merry Christmas Hanging Sampler by Pineberry Lane. I did that last year on 48 count Legacy Linen, which makes it perfect ornament size. I'm gonna have to make this one again as a gift because that's really become one of my favorites. And then if we move up a little bit, we have two more of my festive mice. This I ordered from Cheswick Company. We talked about that earlier in this episode. This I made several years ago. I know I've shown that on previous tree tours. Oh, we have another little Just Nan. This is a Santa mouse, and my mom made that one too. And then this is Laura's Santa Loves Good Boys and Girls. and one of my festive embellished trees that I made, although I think you can see a little of what I was saying in the episode, that the green on green kind of disappears into the green of the tree. And then if we go down just a little bit, I want to show you some of my Nutcracker sweet ornaments because, again, we've seen them before, but they're always favorites. So this is my gigantic Nutcracker. I have lots of all the characters. So we have Harlequin, her Drosselmeyer, a dancer, toy soldier, a mouse soldier. And these are all just from different sets of making Nutcracker ornaments over the years. And it's a rule on my tree that no Nutcracker sweet ornament can travel alone. So they're all just kind of in clumps. And then this is a Nutcracker Santa that is a needlepoint ornament. I did this many years ago and it was professionally finished. And it's hanging right below my brand new Cheswick. They're even cuter on the tree if that's at all possible. And then if we go up a little bit, this is Bluebell Snickle by Notforgotten Farms. My mom made it for me and it's just adorable. By changing the colors, it completely changes the look. And then it's hanging with, I've done the double stack a la my mom on the ornaments, with a wool felt applique ornament that I did. It just sewed on a bunch of spangles, crystals, beads, inside an edging of stretched pearl. And then this is a Prairie Schooler Santa that my mom made for me, and she customized it with some family jokes, like there's an elf, because we call Christmas crafting elfing. I've said that a lot of times before. This is an old ornament. This is just a gingerbread man, and I made the shape and then I embellished it. And this is very old. This is acrylic wool felt. You can see the silver is tarnishing, but I don't love it any less. That just shows that it's been in service for a long time. This is my crazy bedazzled bird from last year. I used so many pendants on this guy, and so it kind of showed what's possible, and I'm trying to incorporate some of that into the crystal Cardinal. I want him to have some of the crazy bedazzled fun of this guy. And this was something that my mom made for me. She took one of the small Santas, heart in hand, I think, I'm totally blanking, and she made it into a strawberry. With a little holly leaf on top and another star. I made so many of these, they're great fillers. And another gift from my mom. This is a JBW design that she stitched over one with Gobelins 779, and that's what she calls me. We all know the real queens of Flosstube are Brenda and Laura. And then here we have her snow pants from this year. And this is in kind of my snowman-y section. It's next to another Notforgotten Farm Snowman ornament. This is Holly Jolly, which I stitched on 5363 Sandcastle with Surfine. If you see something on my tree that's a cross-stitch ornament, you can find the conversion by going back in my episode guide on my website, which will be linked in the description. Oh, and here are a few more gifts from my mom over the years. This is a needlepoint Santa that she did from Petey and has all kinds of great textures. She used very velvet for the suit. That's a gray fuzzy stuff for his trim. And then she layered so many layers of whisper for his beard, and then had that professionally finished. That was, that must have been 17 years ago at least, probably more like 20. And then we've talked about this before. I think I show it every year on my tree tour, but this is the home ornament that she made me to celebrate the home that we're standing in right now. And then this is another perennial favorite. This is Be Merry and Bright, which again is a Rifle Paper Company card that I just kind of converted into felt and sequins. Again, sequins from the collection, needlepoint sequins, same one from the blue Snow Globe Santa. Next to just, again, some shapes that I filled with beads and sequins, an ornament, ball ornament, a kind of finial shaped ornament, a bell with a beaded bow, And then if we go down a little bit, we have one of my Prairie Schooler Santas where I added the crystal bicones on the hangers. So they're so sparkly. They look like just sparkly icicles and they look fabulous on the tree. I can't encourage you to try this enough if you haven't. We have a Cheerful Company snow gnome. My mom made that for me. We're gonna highlight a lot of her gifts in this tree tour because you've seen so many of the ornaments before. And then this is her sub rosa that she gave me this fall. I showed that in an episode earlier. And it has a beaded ornament hanger with bugles and crystals. Right down here at the bottom, we have some different cross-stitch ones. This is Stacy Nash, Brenda Gervais, my latest Prairie Schooler Santa. So I have ornaments going all the way to the floor because this tree was so tall we couldn't get it in the car. We had to just chop some of the base off and then put it in the car. And this again was new last year. I can't remember if I showed it in my tree tour. It might have happened afterwards. This is a blue angel. So I love making just sparkly, crazy angels with fun wings and then just embellishing them with everything I can think of. So then if we go back up, we can see some more of my snowman section. So this is my most recent Brenda Gervais, another Brenda Gervais from previous years. Ooh, that's blanking on the name, but it's a Brenda Gervais. And then the Winter Mouse in a House from Just Nan, which features lots of snowmen. I kind of decorate by theme. And then we've got another mini nutcracker section going on here. Clara, the nutcracker that Karen and Bren made for me. And then to go with it, their fabulous sparkling koala that they gave me. Because koalas can't travel alone either. This is actually it's a pin by Georgina Bellamy. She made these for Australian wildfire relief a few years ago, but it came close to Christmas. So I put a hanger on it, hung it on the tree, and now it has a friend from Karen and Bren. Because the main piece here is the nutcracker, we have another mini nutcracker section. So we have a sugar plum fairy. She's okay, but she's not the sugar plum fairy, which is why I need to have another go at this. This is one of my oldest ornaments on the tree. This is a mouse king. Nutcracker, and then this is another nutcracker ornament that Karen and Bren gave me. And then this is the snowman Cheswick that my mom gave me. He's on a swing and I put him on a lower branch so that he can actually theoretically swing. I mean, like not actually, but he could. And then the snowman section kind of finishes off with Snow Magical by Brenda Gervais. And on this one I used round drops to kind of echo the snow. So I think that's about it. There are fabulous ornaments really all over the tree, but I hope you enjoyed this view of my tree for 2025. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, the happiest of New Year's to you all, and happy stitching for the new year.